The balloons were still floating above the table, the cupcakes untouched, the "Congratulations, Harper" banner mocking me with every glance. My hands tightened around the stem of my glass as silence echoed through the room. Not one chair was filled. Not a single familiar face showed. The promotion party I had dreamed about was mine alone. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us, where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us, what would you do in this situation? Be honest. Tell me. In the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. I scrolled through my phone, and my jaw locked. My parents, Edward and Diane Mercer, were at a rooftop restaurant, smiling beside my sister, Sloane, glasses raised like she had achieved something. Heat stung the back of my eyes. I whispered through gritted teeth, "Not even for this. Not even once." The door opened. Grant Lane, my husband, stepped in, his gaze flicking over the empty room before locking on me. He didn't ask questions. He didn't need to. The disappointment, written across my face, told him everything. "They didn't come," I muttered, voice cracking despite the smile I tried to force. "Maybe they were right all along. Maybe I don't matter to them." Grant's steps were deliberate, his presence steady as he came to me. "Stop." His voice was firm but gentle. He tilted my chin up so my eyes met his. "You earned this. You deserve this. Don't you dare measure your worth by their absence." My lips parted to argue, but before I could, he pulled something from his pocket. A small black case. My heart skipped. "Grant? What is that?" He flicked it open, and inside lay a silver keychain with 2 shining keys. My breath hitched. "These," he said quietly, placing them in my trembling hand, "are the keys to our new condo downtown. Signed this morning. It's ours now. No more waiting for their approval, Harper. This is our fresh start." I stared at him, disbelief and emotion colliding in my chest. "Grant, are you serious?" "Dead serious," he murmured, pulling me into his arms. "Let them chase their illusions with Sloane. You're building something real. And I want the world to see it." That night, I didn't dial my parents. I didn't beg Sloane for recognition. Instead, I stood on the balcony of our brand new condo, the city lights reflecting in my eyes as Grant snapped a photo of me holding the keys. I posted it with one line: "Here's to new beginnings." By sunrise, my phone was a storm. Dozens of missed calls, texts piling in from my mother, my father, even Sloane. Their sudden interest screamed louder than their silence ever had. And for the first time in my life, I sipped my coffee, ignored the screen, and let the weight of power shift into my hands. "They notice now," I whispered. The phone wouldn't stop buzzing. The vibration echoed across the countertop, rattling against the marble like an alarm bell I didn't want to answer. I poured my coffee slowly, deliberately, savoring the hiss of steam as if it drowned out the noise. Grant leaned against the balcony doorframe, arms crossed, watching me. "You're going to have to pick up eventually," he said softly. I glanced at the screen. Diane Mercer. Again. The 20th call since dawn. "No," I muttered, pushing the phone away. "They didn't care last night. They don't get to care today." Grant tilted his head, his voice calm but sharp. "Maybe not. But ignoring them only gives them power. Answer once. Let them hear your voice, and your silence afterward will speak louder than any post." My chest tightened. He was right. With a deep breath, I grabbed the phone and swiped. "Harper!" My mother's voice cut through the line, laced with faux concern. "Why didn't you tell us about the condo? Why am I seeing this on social media instead of hearing it from you?" My hand trembled, but my tone stayed cool. "Because, Mother, last night I threw a party for my promotion, the biggest milestone of my career, and not a single one of you showed up." A pause. Then the sound of my father clearing his throat in the background. Edward Mercer's voice came on, heavy with disapproval. "Harper, you know your sister had an important networking dinner. We couldn't just cancel for me?" I snapped, my chest burning. "You couldn't cancel for me. That's the point, isn't it? It's never me." Sloane's voice chimed in suddenly, laughing lightly as if this were all trivial. "Harper, don't be dramatic. You've always been so sensitive. Besides, it was just a promotion. Not exactly life-changing." The words hit harder than I expected. My knuckles whitened around the phone. "Just a promotion? Do you even hear yourself? I worked for years, nights without sleep, sacrificing everything while you sat back being handed favors. This wasn't just a promotion. It was proof I didn't need your validation to succeed." "Harper, lower your tone," Edward barked, his voice thick with authority. "You're making this bigger than it is. You embarrassed us posting like that, bragging." Laugh was sharp, bitter. "Bragging? You mean finally showing I don't need to beg for your crumbs of attention? If you feel embarrassed, maybe ask yourselves why you were missing from your own daughter's celebration." The silence that followed was suffocating. Then Diane's voice broke through, sharp and defensive. "We've done everything for you, Harper. If you can't appreciate that, maybe you should stop expecting anything from us." That was it. My body shook, but not from fear anymore. Anger, years of it, boiling over. "You're right," I said coldly. "From this moment on, I won't expect anything from you. Not your approval, not your presence, nothing, because I don't need it." I ended the call before they could respond. My chest heaved, the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Grant crossed the room and took the phone gently from my hand. "You didn't just hang up on them," he said, his eyes steady. "You broke free." I sank into the couch, my voice trembling. Why does it still hurt then? Why do I still feel like the little girl waiting for them to show up at her school recital? Grant crouched in front of me, his hand closing around mine. "Because you cared. Because deep down you still hoped they'd change. But Harper..." His voice lowered, heavy with conviction. "You've built a life they can't control anymore. That's what scares them. And that's what will set you free." The phone buzzed again. Texts now. Dozens of them. Words flashing across the screen. "We need to talk. Call us back. This isn't how family handles things." I turned the phone face down. "Not anymore," I whispered. "This time, I decide how family handles things." That afternoon, I received an email from my boss congratulating me again on the promotion and hinting at an even bigger project on the horizon. The timing felt poetic. While my parents scrambled to reclaim control, the world beyond them was finally recognizing me. As the city lights flickered on outside our condo, I realized something. Last night's humiliation had transformed into fuel. Their absence was the final lesson. I didn't need them to show up. I needed to stop waiting for them. And for the first time in years, I slept peacefully, knowing the war with my family wasn't over. But the battlefield had shifted. The knock at the door came the next evening, loud, sharp, impatient. I froze mid-step, coffee mug in hand, while Grant's eyes flicked to the door. "They wouldn't," I whispered. But they did. Through the peephole, I saw them. Diane, lips pressed tight, Edward with arms crossed, and behind them Sloane, smirking like she was here to win. Grant placed a steadying hand on my shoulder. "You don't owe them this, Harper. Not tonight." But something inside me shifted. I was tired of hiding behind texts and missed calls. I swung open the door. "Finally," Diane said, brushing past me into the condo as if she owned the place. "You had us worried sick." "Worried?" I shot back, my voice sharp. "You weren't worried last night when I sat in an empty room at my own promotion party." Edward stepped in next, his tone heavy, commanding. "Harper, enough. We came." "Here to talk, not argue," That post you made, it made us look like neglectful parents. Do you understand how damaging that is to our reputation? I laughed bitterly. Your reputation? That's what this is about? Not me? Not the daughter you've ignored for years? Sloane finally spoke, rolling her eyes. This condo's cute, Harper. But you don't seriously think one promotion makes you their equal, do you? I mean, let's be real. You've always been second best. The words sliced deep, but I didn't flinch. This time, I stepped closer, my voice low, cutting. Second best? Then why are you standing in my home? Why are you all here, scrambling, acting like suddenly I matter? Because the truth is, you need me now. Edward's jaw clenched. You're twisting. This! No, I snapped, heat rising in my chest. I'm finally untwisting it. Every recital, every achievement, every moment I begged for your approval. You had Sloane. You didn't need me. But now that the world sees me, you can't stand that I don't see you. Diane's mask cracked for a second, her voice tight. Harper, we are your family. Don't forget who raised you. Raised me? My laugh was sharp, broken. You raised me to believe I wasn't enough, to beg for crumbs while Sloane feasted on your praise. Well, those days are over. Grant stepped closer, his voice calm but firm. You all should leave. Edward bristled. This is between us and our daughter. No, Grant said, his arm brushing mine protectively. This is between people who show up for Harper and people who never did. And right now, you're proving exactly which side you belong on. Sloane's smirk faltered, her gaze flicking between us. You'll regret this, Harper. Family is everything. I met her eyes, my voice steady. Family is supposed to be there. Last night, you weren't. And that tells me everything I need to know. Silence stretched heavy between us. Edward finally turned, jaw set, and stalked toward the door. Diane followed, her expression unreadable. Sloane lingered a moment longer, searching for a reaction, but I gave her nothing. When the door shut behind them, my knees finally buckled. Grant caught me, pulling me into his arms. My chest shook with the release of years of swallowed pain. You were incredible, he whispered against my hair. You finally stood your ground. Tears burned my cheeks, but they weren't from weakness. They were from release. I'm done begging for them to choose me, I whispered. I'm choosing myself now, and for the first time I meant it. The next morning, sunlight poured through the glass windows of our condo, bouncing off the polished countertops. I stood there, coffee in hand, staring out over the city. For the first time, the view didn't feel like a dream I was trespassing. It felt like mine, but my phone was buzzing again. Emails, missed calls, messages pouring in. This time, though, it wasn't just from my family. It was from coworkers, old college friends, even people I hadn't spoken to in years. My promotion post had spread farther than I expected. And the condo? It had sent a clear message. I wasn't the forgotten one anymore. Grant walked in, his hair still damp from a shower, tie half knotted. You've got that look, he said, smirking. Like you're planning something. I turned to him, my voice calm but fierce. I am. I'm done letting them write my story. It's time I take control of it. Later that day, I walked into the office. My boss, Mr. Reynolds, called me into the glass conference room. He congratulated me again in front of the senior staff, praising my work and hinting at bigger opportunities. For once, the spotlight didn't feel heavy. It felt right. When the meeting ended, I stepped into the hallway and froze. Standing there, as if she owned the place, was Sloane. What are you doing here? I asked sharply. She flashed a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I came to congratulate my sister. Is that such a crime? Cut the act, Sloane. I crossed my arms. You're not here to congratulate me. What do you want? Her smirk deepened. Fine. You're right. Mom and Dad think you're drifting away. They asked me to smooth things over. You know, how appearances matter. They don't want people thinking the family is divided. I laughed bitterly. Divided? Sloan, the family was never united. You got everything. I got nothing. And now that I've built something of my own, suddenly, you all care about appearances. Her tone sharpened. Don't be naive, Harper. You can't shut out your family. One day you'll regret it. I stepped closer, my voice low but strong. No, Sloan. One day you'll regret it. Because you'll realize the loyalty you demanded was never real. And the only person who stood by me was the man you've all ignored. My husband. Sloane's face tightened, the confidence slipping for just a second. She muttered something under her breath and stormed off, heels clicking against the marble floor. That night, as Grant and I settled into our new condo, I knew the Mercer family wasn't done trying to pull me back under their control. But I was done giving them that power. The final blow came a week later. My company hosted a gala downtown to honor new promotions. Reporters were there, snapping photos, capturing names. I stepped onto the stage in my midnight blue gown, Grant at my side. Applause thundered, cameras flashed, and in that moment, I didn't think about my parents' absence. But they were there. At the edge of the room, I saw them, Edward and Diane, dressed to perfection, Sloan trailing behind. Their eyes widened as the CEO shook my hand, calling me one of the brightest leaders in the company. Applause roared again. And for the first time, they were the ones standing on the outside, watching me shine without them. After the ceremony, Diane approached me, her voice low and urgent. Harper, we should talk. You've made quite the impression tonight. The family, we're proud. I stared at her, calm, collected, but cold. Proud? You weren't proud when I needed you. You weren't there when it mattered. I don't need empty words now. Edward stepped forward, his jaw tight. Don't throw away your family for pride. I tilted my head, my voice steady. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm just not carrying the weight you abandoned me with anymore. This is my life. My success. And it doesn't belong to you. For the first time, their faces cracked. Shock, confusion, maybe even fear. They realized the leash they'd kept on me for years had finally snapped. I turned, Grant's hand warm in mine, and walked, past them without another word. That night, back in our condo, I posted one more photo. It was me and Grant, standing together at the gala, the city lights glowing behind us. The caption was simple. When they don't clap for you, clap for yourself, and build a life where their applause no longer matters. The comments flooded. And support, admiration, people telling me my story gave them courage. And as I scrolled, I realized something powerful. Revenge didn't always come with shouting or slamming doors. Sometimes the sweetest revenge was living so well that the people who once ignored you had no choice but to watch. I leaned back against Grant, his arm wrapping around me. For the first time in my life, I felt whole. Here's to new beginnings, I whispered again, and this time it wasn't just a line, it was the truth.